There's always that aha moment.
The moment you switch, the energy changes.
Games अच्छे से ऐसे ट्रिगर नहीं करना.
This is where I'm excited about.
I think there is a very plain answer.
I want to be politically right. This is not going out anymore. I think good morning with the love side.
Hello and welcome to Labeled by T. This is the podcast where we don't just talk fashion. We decode the strategy, the drama, and the digital hustle behind it. I'm your host, Muskan Parwani, and today we are going to dive deep into the digital fashion marketing game with none other than Trishanu Paul, the genius behind Code to Couture. Hi Trishanu, how are you today?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
I'm doing absolutely amazing. You do not have to ask. We've been planning this for months. You even for a lot more.
Quite a few months now. 6 months to be precise.
Absolutely. The amount of scripts I've written, let me just put it out there.
4 of them.
There were more.
Okay. Too many edits.
Exactly. 4 केवल आपको मिली हैं. There were more. Okay, so while we're talking about that, I recently read somewhere that you don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great. But a lot of people wait for that perfect moment. Do you think there is something that is holding them back, and how can they break out of that cycle?
I think a lot of people think that you don't have to be great to start a business, but you need to start somewhere. To a lot of people, I think they look for these ideal circumstances or situation that does not really exist. It's a myth that you look out for that perfect situation or a perfect circumstance where you would want to start a business, but that does not really exist. So I think action breeds clarity and overthinking breeds inaction. So pick up a goal, pick up a project, and this is the time when you start now.
As much as I love that in theory, I know for a fact that every founder has that moment of doubt when they feel like the only viable option is quitting. I am sure that you've had that moment as well.
True.
But is it worth the risk?
It is, honestly. I think every entrepreneur hits that phase in their life where they feel that quitting is the only option. I did too. There was a time because we wanted to start with all the labels. I had 3 labels when I started with it. With due course of time, in 6 months, the labels had to leave. Few of them stayed back, few of them left. But I had expenses to give out. I had salaries to give out. But then there was a time when I was hitting the rock bottom. I knew that if I could survive this, I could see the best out of it. Just to go back home, there was a time when Details was my the other baby that I was looking for, and both the brands were having the same kind of a problem. But I knew that if I could survive that, I could survive this too. It worked out well, and we are here today.
While you're talking about Details, I know that there's always that aha moment when you are planning to start your journey from a different brand. When it comes to Code to Couture, was there an aha moment for you when you knew that Code to Couture had to exist? Or was it more like a divine invention where you felt like if nobody else is doing it well, I guess I have to?
See, honestly, Code to Couture was always the plan B for me, being very precise and honest. I always knew that. So today, if I look up on Google and type out 20 best digital marketing agencies, they would always give some 20-30 searches. But how many agencies are only dedicated to one single industry? We are the only one who would want to keep their niche as fashion, and we only want to deliver the fashion industry and also work with the creme of the creme. So I was very sure that if I have to develop something, also because I'm a computer science graduate, I think the tech gene in me always kept things alive. And I think with due course of time, I figured out that this is the niche that I want to target. And with my digital expertise for the past 8-9 years, I thought that this is a must need in the crowd. So that's how C2C was born. And today, ideally, we're finishing 2 years of Code to Couture with almost 25 plus labels. And let's see how it goes.
That's good. While we're talking about that, is there like a right time to start, or people have just deluded themselves to believe that there is?
There are no shortcuts to hard work. You always need to work hard to reach somewhere. And there are honestly no shortcuts to it. Your research has to be on point. You need to speak to a lot of people. You need to understand where this is heading to, what are you planning to do, your goals. You need to have a vision board. This is where you want to end up being in due course of time. Your 5 years plan, your 3 years plan, your 2 years plan. Every small little goal matters.
So it all goes by the plan.
Yes.
A lot of people follow this script, go for that traditional path, the safe job, everything. And it's safe. It provides a sense of security. Fake security nonetheless, but security. I see that you did not choose that path.
No, I did not.
For somebody who is watching this podcast right now, would you tell them that it's worth it to take that leap of faith?
I think playing it safe is the greatest risk of all. The biggest regret people have on their deathbed isn't about the failing. It's about not having the courage to live life authentically. If you wait for the time for you to be ready, you'll never know the deep satisfaction of you taking that leap of faith when it was the scariest.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, imagine a lifetime spending a year on this planet following a script someone else wrote it for you, only to realize that you were a supporting character in your own life. But fuck that. I mean, take the risk, go big, chase the dream that kept you up all night. I mean, if it fails, you have a great story to tell. But what if it works?
So you're telling me that it's better to choose the fear of failure than the fear of regret.
Absolutely. I mean, I think it's more inevitable that you try out something and then probably regret it all your life. That at least I gave it a shot. If you wouldn't give the shot, you wouldn't know. I mean, if it was too good to be true, or even good to try out for.
While we are talking about it, was there a specific moment that you realized that I've been asking the wrong questions from myself? And
Yeah.
how did that shift everything for you?
There was a time in my entire career, and this happened probably 4 or 5 years back, where I had to take a leap of faith. And
Are we
I
talking
was,
about
I
the
was,
journey?
Yes, I'm talking about the journey.
Let me just say this is an authentic podcast, and I'm not going to pretend that I'm going to hear this for the first time, but I get chills every time. Okay, let's go.
So, do you want to speak
Yes,
about the journey
absolutely.
first? Okay. So, I think my class 12th, I was always a techie. I went for an engineering college. I did my bachelor's in computer science. But with those 4 years of my graduation, I figured out that I had a knack for fashion and retail. How do I reach there? I have zero idea. I do not have resources to fall on. I do not have people to speak to, and neither they have like a lot of people who I can reach out and speak to them about how do I reach here. Like, give me a mentor or do my mentorship. I was placed in a in an MNC. Started working in Bangalore. After finishing like a week of my work, I walked up to my manager and I told him that this is what I can't do. I want to get into fashion retail and I want you to be my mentor and guide me. He told me probably you can go back and come back to me. I'll come back to you later. But in corporate, when somebody says that, it never happens. A month went by. Then one fine day he calls me to his cabin. He's sitting here. He had a blackboard behind him and he drew a graph saying that you're here. You need to reach here. The only bridge that can link technology and retail is consulting. And with consulting, we take people who have MBA degree. You clearly don't. And I was like, why is he calling me after a month and it's telling me the same thing over
Reminds me
again?
of
Because I knew this was a
Three
problem
Idiots.
statement. So he told me that what I can help you with is that with the 8 hours that you're working on the technology or the project that you've been assigned, you will do that. Post that, you'll be sitting with another consulting team, learn the work, see how it goes, at least for the next 8 to 9 months. If we see that your 16 hours of work is actually making sense and you can be promoted to consulting. So that's when I realized that, okay, this is quite tough. 16 hours.
16 hours is wild.
Yeah, 16 years is wild, but you were young and you're very ambitious. So, this is the only way that this could work out. Again, there's no shortcut to hard work. So I went back, I spoke to my parents. My parents lost it. They're like, hey, this is something
As
that you can't do.
expected.
I wanted to sleep on this overnight. And the next day, I went up and I told him, let's do it. Because again, you want to hear your gut. So that started. After a year and a half rather, I applied to a fashion retail company. And again, because I did not have a fashion degree,
Background.
I was assigned the role of a cashier. So I used to sit in the store, doing a part-time, people coming down and asking queries. The social media team used to come down and they used to tell me or ask me that, what is your customer interaction? Because you are the person who's speaking to the customer and you would understand it way better than anybody else. So I think that feedback was also important. So after 6 months, I think there was a time when they told me to come down and join the marketing meetings. I think that was one leap that I got back then. In 6 months, we were set to scale revenues for this XYZ label that I was working for. And I told them that this is where I can apply my tech brains and I can create a new domain, assign a new team, build up a new team. And if this works out, it's fair. That one point, there was this thing where he looked at me and I pitched him this idea. And he was like, if this works out, everything goes well, I will promote you to the place or a position that you want to. But if it does not, it'll be me signing your resignation letter. So at that point, everything came back in a circle of me working those 16 hours a day. Luckily, everything fell into place, and that was the time when I took that leap of faith. Be it career, be it ambition, be it relationship, I think everybody needs that one leap of faith to see if that actually works out or not. That was the time when I switched that what if character game. So that worked out, and I started working for a fashion label. Then I tried doing my master's from Italy. I started working there. Again, there was a startup. Then I was called by a luxury fashion house here in India. That's why I came back here. So between this entire transition of me coming back to India, I had a friend or an interviewer who just wanted to do my interview. Again, I was very bad at doing podcast or where I could face a camera. So she was like, I'll draft a few questions and I'll ask you about your journey. So that journey came out. I was published on the papers, and that entire journey was named as Code to Couture. So that's where I thought that this name is very catchy and something that resonates with my journey,
Yes.
something which is very personal to me. And this is something that I want to take, go home back to. So that's where I thought I will first register that domain. So this is exactly 2 years before where this happened. My domain was registered. I thought I'll do something out of it later. I did not know what exactly, but I really liked the name. However, I was always a fond of like a one-word name because it's easier to remember, and people have ideas to it. But that's how it all started, and now we are here, and I'm really grateful.
Wow, that is by far my favorite time that you're telling this story.
Yeah.
I love this so much. सबको chills है. दिख नहीं रहे but सबको है. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Wow, I love this. Now that हमने इतनी heavy बातचीत कर ली है, let's play a quick game. Bring back and burn.
Okay.
So what we are going to do is I'm going to tell you some fashion trends and you're going to have to tell me whether you want to bring them back or let them burn.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Ready.
Leather pants.
Not really. I'm not a fan.
Okay.
Yeah.
Velvet blazers.
I'm not a fan either. I mean, I love fabrics, but again, if I have to, did you just mention a blazer?
Yes.
So if I have to do a blazer, I'd always do an Italian fabric because there's something which is very close to me.
True.
So I would never do a velvet blazer for sure.
Well, blazers are off. Burn in the eternal hell, please. So the next one is man buns.
I bring back. I think people who have like longer hair, I think it looks really, really good. To some people like me who have shorter hair, I mean, I don't think I can afford it.
Animal print everything.
Oh, I hate it.
Okay. So this was the end of this segment. How did you like this game?
I loved it.
So now that we have settled the whole debate about which fashion trends deserve a second chance and which ones need to stay buried in the fashion graveyard,
Right.
tell me, where do you think the luxury designer market stands today, and where is it headed in the next 5 years?
So I think post the pandemic, if I have to break down the era into like pre-pandemic and post-pandemic, there has been a seismic shift or a paradigm shift from brick and mortar to e-commerce. Initially, before the pandemic, 85% of the revenue was used to come down from the offline stores, and 15% was e-commerce. But I think later, after 2021, which is I think as per the McKinsey report, I think there is a month-on-month increase of 30% of the e-commerce revenue channel going up. So I think this is something that people have a lookout for. Like even with us in Code to Couture, today if we start marketing any label, 80% of my ads are only focused on the international waters because of two reasons primarily. One is that they have the spending capacity, and two is that the lack of resources available or the lack of Indian designer wear available in the city. In India, if we have to market a brand, tier 1 goes to the store and the offline stores to buy it. My digital ads are always focused majorly on the tier 2 and the tier 3 cities. So I think by 2030, the Indian luxury market will already be hitting a $20-30 billion as a market. And I think Tata Click Luxury, Nykaa Lux, also Ponias Pop-Up, Aza, Ogan, Karma, these are going to be a major hit in the revenues.
Wow, that does make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So while we are talking about the fashion industry, we know that it's not just competitive, it is cutthroat.
Yeah.
What is the biggest challenge while making Code to Couture stand out from a fish and sea of agencies that claim to know that they know digital marketing?
Again, I think it is very difficult and different to market a cafe, to an F&B, to wines and spirit, to a apparel, or to any other product for that matter. For you, it is very important that you stay by your niche, you hold by your niche, And for me as a marketer, I have to trust the product before I start selling it. For me, for the past 8-9 years, I've always been selling apparels, and I understand this market really well. So I knew that with C2C, we will always be holding up this niche where we only and only cater to fashion labels. So this is what we hold the expertise in, and it has worked out tremendously well for us. Today, on an average ROAS, we are hitting around 14 to 15. On a bad month, and with a good month, it is going up to 18 to 19. That's really like a good
That is
trademark.
commendable, true.
So I want to hold up to it. I really want to have filters, saying no to people for the brands that I don't like or don't want to work with. But at the same time, hold that niche and see the best that I can do for them.
Absolutely. What would you recommend or advise to a person who is just starting their own fashion brand?
I think research. Something that people lose on the basics is that research. First, you research it really well. Your product needs to tell a story. You need to have an inspiration. That inspiration can come from a lot of other aspects. But I think that story or the storytelling plays a very, very important role. So later, probably in the segment, I'll probably speak to you about the 3 pillars that actually helps your label to grow up in terms of scaling ROASes or scaling revenues. But I think storytelling and doing your research before getting into the market. Like we mentioned that the Indian luxury market is going to hit $2030 million or $1 billion by the end of 2030. So we also need to understand that what is the percentage that we are tapping. Is it 1%? Is it 2%? What is the percentage that we are tapping so that we can scale up to that revenue? So that understanding, is the kids wear doing well? Is the women's wear doing well? Is men's wear a blooming industry? So we need to really understand what are we catering to and who are we catering to.
Absolutely, yes. Okay, so I have this question. There's this infamous 80-20 rule in business. And how does it apply to fashion marketing?
I think the 80-20 rule is very interesting when it comes to social media marketing or content marketing. Your 80% of the content that goes out on the social media should focus on the product, the inspiration and the story. The 20% should focus on the revenue. So there has to be a very niche balance between your storytelling and the product that you're focusing on for revenue. A lot of people lose out on this balance, but this will also help you hold your niche, target the right kind of audience, and get you the good revenue that you're expecting it of.
How do brands identify that right kind of audience?
I think the first step of maximizing the 80-20 rule is identifying what 20% of your base is driving the majority of your sales. And then it comes to analyzing the kind of trends that has been following, because Instagram plays a very important role. Once you define that, then you go into your funnel marketing with Meta and Google, and then probably define your niche and then start marketing your ads. So I think that segmentation or research is very, very important.
Research is the key.
Yes.
As usual. People should make note of that. Research is the key. मैं कब से कह रही हूँ. Okay, so let's talk about performance marketing. Everybody throws the term around, but like, does the actual strategy work? And is there a secret formula, or is it all just hit and trial?
I think depending on the label, if that is old or new, we first understand the customer heat map. We understand the analytics. We read the numbers before jumping into the call. Once we get to speak to the designers or the founder, we want to understand what is the numbers that they have done before. Or if the brand is new, we want to understand their expectation. Now, depending on if the brand wants to scale because if the brand is existing, or the branding new, where they're expecting a certain number, we give them a customized plan or a tailored plan where we can scale revenues from 0 to 6 months. Because ideally for a new brand, scaling the numbers from 0 to 1 is the only challenge. 1 to 10 is the easiest thing. Again, there are certain pillars. It cannot, when you see for an existing brand, when you see that the numbers are pretty much stagnant, there are other channels of marketing that we focus on, be it WhatsApp marketing, be it paid marketing, or XYZ. It cannot be always Meta and Google.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. I'm learning so much, guys. Okay, this is the segment that I am actually very, very intrigued about. PR and collaborations. Are they actually the golden ticket, or is it just an expensive flex? How do brands actually, make them count?
Like I was talking about the 3 pillars. These are the 3 pillars. I think one is your organic. The second one is your paid. The third is your PR. I think only if we support all the 3 pillars together, like your organic works on SEO, on page and off page, which is very
Okay.
important that you get organic traffic coming on to your website, to your domain, to your Instagram. The paid, of course, it's Meta, Google, which is major. Then comes WhatsApp marketing, SMS push, etc., etc. PR plays a greater role because once you're trying to enter a cluttered market or a market which is already saturated, it helps you stand out. Again, the kind of audience or the kind of celebrities or the kind of influencers that you're trying to pair up with or try to go collab with, I think that also plays a major role about where do you want to play the brand positioning. So that brand positioning is something that PR helps you stand out. So I think PR is also a very, very important part of this revenue scaling and ROAS scaling.
Yes. Okay. PR and storytelling go hand in hand. At least I believe that.
True.
People don't just buy fashion. They buy the story behind it.
Right.
How does Code to Couture help brands craft a narrative that people actually care about?
I think it's very important that your product, your collection has a story to tell, because it's very viable now. How do you differentiate yourself from a mass brand to a luxury brand? That storytelling creates that aspirational connect with your audience, and that is something which is one of the key pointers that people usually miss out on. So I think storytelling plays a very, very important role. I can give you a lot of case studies that I had before, but that's something is very personal. But so I started with one of the brands,
Okay.
and
Yes. Story time.
I
Yes.
can't name the label, but we did very well for the first 6 months. We grew down to a substantial ROAS of around 11, 12, but we couldn't scale after it. So I started with the designers. We spoke about what else could we do, because it cannot be that you're only pumping in money on Meta and expecting revenue out of it. There has to be something. That strategy needs to work out. And strategy cannot always be on textbook. It could work logically also. I've always said this to my people that it always not how it works on textbook. It is always about the logic. If logically you feel this is right, if this is what your gut feeling says, then go for it. We did that. We did that narrative. We did that storytelling with this label, and from there we have always scaled up. And now we're doing a consistent of I think 18, 19 ROAS with that. One label have their own target set of audiences. That's around probably 80% of it. Now, how are you reaching that the next 20%, where you know that your brand can scale up from X to Y? That scaling will always help you get those numbers only when your storytelling is right. And it is getting that aspirational buyers to come down and buy at your domain.
Yes. I'm a very inquisitive person. I will get to know about what label we are talking about, but off the record. Okay. So now that we've talked about all of the digital marketing industry and everything, I again want to play a quick game. Are you ready?
Let's do this now. Okay.
Okay. So now we're going to play one of my favorites, Would You Rather.
Okay.
I'm going to give you a question. You have to choose which one do you like most. If you do, anyhow, you have to choose. Are you ready?
Ready.
Would you rather collaborate with a brand you secretly hate or turn down a dream collab for your models?
I would do a collaborate with a brand that I hate.
You would?
Yeah. I know, it just gives me some kind of a challenge. And I like that rush. So I probably want to do that and see how it goes.
Fuck models. Would you rather wear a hot pink suit to every business meeting you attend or wear a neon green sherwani to your wedding?
None.
No, you would have to choose.
None.
You have to choose.
I can't choose.
नहीं, you
I'm
have to
sorry.
choose.
I'm sorry.
Hot
Both
pink
of this
or
is
neon
out of my wardrobe. Can never have it.
नहीं, पर choose ना. Worst out of worst.
Worst out of worst. Hot pink.
I thought he
I
said
could do like
would marry
I could do
him.
like a blush pink.
Hot pink.
Yeah, I could do like a
Chatak.
blush pink with like a white shirt inside. I can style it well, but hot pink, no.
So no neon green sherwani. We were hoping.
Yeah. I wish I could be Ranveer Singh, who could pull off a MM, but no.
No.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Okay. Would you rather go to Met Gala in an outfit chosen by your worst dressed friend or have your ex be your stylist for the evening?
I think my ex could be like a good stylist for the evening.
I thought so.
Yeah.
I thought so.
Yeah.
Would you rather see fast fashion banned forever or would you rather have luxury brands forced to lower their prices?
Fast fashion can never be banned. It's a very debatable topic because India always caters to the mass. There's only niche or the creme audience, which is probably 10% or even lesser, that would want to go to the luxury market and buy. So I don't think first option exists.
Okay.
The second one may, but I'm not really sure.
So I think it's a win-win either way.
Yeah, it's a win-win either way.
It's a win-win either way. Okay, the last one. Would you rather be banned from Instagram forever or post every waking thought you have on the internet?
I can never be banned from Instagram because that's the only socials that I use. And I
Every
really,
waking thought on the internet?
I can. I'm certainly not that person. But if I have to choose between this
I would
and
be
that,
on my phone 24/7.
yeah, if I had to choose between this or that, then I think the latter.
Wow. Wow. I love that one. Yes. So, okay, that'll be the end of this segment.
Okay.
How did you like it?
I love it.
You do?
This was fun.
So, okay, I have in my hand these questions that I have gotten from the audience, and they have some concerns and advices that they want your opinion on. Okay, shall I
Okay.
start?
Yeah,
Okay.
sure.
So, our mind loves playing the what if game, but usually in the worst way possible, right? What if I fail? What if people judge me? You've learned to switch the script. And what if it works? I know that you say that yourself. What if it works?
Yeah.
Can you talk about the power of changing that internal dialogue?
I think you play a certain character where you keep asking this what if questions to you. But I think in all the wrong ways. What if it fails? What if it doesn't work out? What if people laugh at you? But with due course of time, you figure out that you've been asking all the wrong questions. Probably you can ask questions like, what if it all works out? And what if everything falls in place? So I think there's a certain character that we're trying to play, but we just have to understand and know when to switch. The moment you switch, the energy changes, and that's where you will have the what do you call it? The main character energy.
The main character. I love that. So, okay, I do have other questions as well from the audience. Shall we
Okay.
get into it?
Yes, please.
So, somebody says that do you think that having a backup plan sometimes holds people back from giving their 100%?
Honestly, I've always had plan ABC to everything.
Okay.
But I feel that when you don't have a plan B, you know that winning is the only option. And I think to a lot of time that always helps you out. So you should have a plan B to me, but I feel that go full throttle in your plan A, make the best out of it. If it fails, then it fails. But at least you would know that you have given it a right shot.
While we are talking about that, and we have also talked about our journey, was there ever a moment in that journey where you've had no safety net whatsoever, where it was either win or die trying? And what was it like? What did it teach you?
There was a very famous book that I read. It was by Joseph Murphy, and it was called The Power of the Subconscious Mind. It trains your subconscious mind to act in a certain way, or rather, you say act like a winner. So there's also a short story though. There was this Hernan Cortes who was Spanish, and he wanted to do this American colonization, and he landed up to a territory with 600 men, outnumbered, etc., etc. And the first command that he gave was burn the boats. He knew that he would fail. With everything outnumbered, he actually won it. That's the thing. When you know that winning is the only option, there is the lowest chance of you making it to the end. That is the time when you take that leap of faith and you figure out that this is what I want to do.
Very much. Okay, so these were all the questions. Now we're going to play the last game, rapid fire. No overthinking, just gut reactions. Are you ready?
Yes.
No overthinking whatsoever?
Yeah.
Okay, great. What's one fashion trend that needs to disappear?
Animal prints.
The best marketing tool you swear by?
Meta.
The biggest red flag while working with a brand?
If the designer tries to give you inputs on how the marketing should be.
AI in fashion, overhyped or game changer?
Game changer.
If you had to swap wardrobes with one celeb, who would it be?
With one celeb, I think Ayushmann has like really good styling sense, and he does wear very decent minimalistic clothes.
Agreed. Your biggest social media ick?
I think when people start using Instagram as Snapchat, posting repetitive events.
Makes sense. Should Gen Z actually be running corporate brands?
I mean, there's no yes or no to it.
I think there is a very plain answer.
I want to be politically right to this, so I'm just holding on to it.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay. If you could collaborate with any fashion icon, dead or alive, who would you choose?
Fashion icon, Ayushmann again.
Ayushmann again? Wow. Dead or alive, anybody?
Ayushmann again.
Wow. Who would play you in a movie about your life?
I wish I get to a point where this happens, but if that happens, either Rajkumar or Ayushmann, I really see them resonating.
Ayushmann,
with,
if you're seeing this, please have a word.
Like I feel that there is some resonating factor to it. Yeah.
Oh, makes sense. If social media disappears tomorrow, which brands would survive?
None.
None whatsoever.
None whatsoever.
What's one luxury fashion brand you think is completely overrated?
Overrated. Massimo Dutti.
Okay. On that note, I think we'll end this segment as well. How did you like it, this one?
Now, I love this one.
Wow, that was such a great episode. Trishanu, you've given us the inside scoop and some hot takes and serious inspiration. Before we let you go, where can people stock Coat to Couture in the most fashionable way possible, please? Yes, tell me about your latest moves.
So we are onboarding a lot of brands now. So that's a part of Couture to Couture with labeled. I want to have a designers roundtable sort of a format
Wow.
where there is a marketer, somebody from the PR, a fashion designer, an influencer, and a stylist. So we do a roundtable discussion about how do you start a brand, what are the failures that you can face. Because when I meet people on a daily basis, there are a lot of people who would want to enter the industry, but they just don't know
How to.
where. So this podcast would actually help them to kind of understand how does this industry function, what is the spots that you hit, right? And I had never got this liberty during my journey where I could have enough resources or mentor to rely upon. So I would really want to create this as a safety net for them, where they would want to understand, ask questions, and we would do this in like a series of episodes. So I would really want like a A-lister designer to come down and do this podcast. We are already in terms of a PR firm. So there's a lot that has been happening and I'm very excited for it. So this is something that I've been trying to do for the past 6 months. I've been thinking about how do you do this? How do you start this? So this podcast was just focusing on what do we do and how do we cater and what is the target audience or the market that we cater. But this labeled is going to be focusing on educating people about how to enter the industry.
Wow, I'm so excited for this one. I'm going to watch it.
So am I.
I know. Okay, so all right, that is it for today. You listened, you learned, and now you'll probably forget everything and go back to buying overpriced basics. But before you do that, that's fine. Just like, share, and subscribe. Bye bye. See you in the next one.